A very good afternoon on behalf of India FinTech Forum. I am Medha, and here I have with us Mr. Varun Dua, CEO of ACKO General Insurance, who has joined me to discuss his experiences at ACKO. So, Varun, ACKO is the pioneer of digital native general insurance in India. What are the biggest opportunities that come with this disruptive approach?
Firstly, thank you, Medha, for having me over and conducting this interview. Happy to be here. Uh, uh, from an insurance standpoint, I think the way we look at it, or from our vantage point, consumers in India who are natively digital and probably use all the world-class services, whether it's Amazon or an Uber or any of these services, typically still don't have that experience on financial services. And on the financial services area, those experiences are still developing, whether it's mutual funds or investing or insurance and so on and so forth. From our perspective, the only way to really make a meaningful difference to consumers, not just from an experience standpoint, but the price of the product, how claims are handled, how much cost benefit that they can get or pricing benefit that they can get, meant that we wanted to manufacture the product. So unlike a lot of other fintech or financial services startups, typically the idea is first you distribute products or you do technology for people who manufacture products. We took a call of actually manufacturing the product, which is setting up an insurance company from scratch,
Right.
because this can have a huge and meaningful difference to price, product, experience, claims, usability, trust. If you have to build it across the value chain, I think consumers can get better prices for sure. I think there's a lot of fat in the traditional models. There's a lot of unnecessary costs, in my personal opinion. There are branches to agents to distributors. All that cost saving can get passed on to consumers. Trust is a big issue with insurance specifically.
Of course.
Typically customers do tend to look at it like I'll pay, but when the time for claim comes, there's a deduction, there's a complication. Sometimes they'll say this will be paid, not paid, and it's very difficult to understand. I think that can be simplified a lot better. And if the incentives are aligned, which is that we save money on distribution costs of agents and branches and brokers and having sales teams, then we are less inclined to actually cut money on claims because we're saving money somewhere else and offering better prices to consumers. So I think to answer your question, what this disruptive approach really does is brings the power of directly owning the relationship with the consumer rather than through a distributor or an intermediary. That gives you access to a lot more data. And using the data, you can underwrite better, you can figure out good customers versus bad customers, and the good customers can have a massively meaningful change to their experience and the prices at which they get products. So that's really the thesis for us.
Right. This direct to consumer model that you just spoke of, it has clearly been appreciated a lot by investors. And ACKO recently had a very successful Series C financing round. So, along with existing investors like Amazon and Axel, a number of new investors came on board, like Binny Bansal. How do you
Yeah.
see this shaping your growth trajectory in the near term and long term?
So for a insurance company, typically capital is pretty critical because we are a balance sheet entity. We
Right.
take the risk onto our balance sheet, so it's important for us to be well capitalized. But it's also important to be capitalized by the shareholders or investors who believe in the vision. Our vision is very different. The part of the I may even go out on a limb and say controversially, if I can say that part of the industry or the traditional insurance industry might think that we are completely head over. We don't know what we are doing. And part of the industry is very clear with the long-term approach that we are following. This is a patient approach. This is not an approach where it's easy to build scale. It's easy to go to distributors, pay a little extra commission, build scale very quickly. It's easy to do commercial products. In insurance, you can insure fire factories and
Yeah.
buildings and really have fat premiums also going. That's not our thesis. Our thesis is that we will focus on retail consumers. We will build a direct to consumer offering. We will continue to own the relationship with consumers and data, which needs a patient approach and a long term belief in the vision. So whether it's Binny or whether it's Axel, or recently we also had Munich Re partners join our cap table and invest in us. All these are investors who truly believe that what we are doing is how the insurance industry is going to look like 10 years from now. 10 years from now, people are not going to be wanting to deal with brokers and agents, and things will be largely digital. And if you need to build that, you need to have that patience that you're building for something which is going to happen in a meaningful way 10 years from now. We can't be living for the short term. So I think whether it's Binny or Axel or Munich Re or Intact or Amazon, these are all our shareholders who are deeply, deeply committed to this path. So
Right.
that also gives us a lot of confidence to not waver in our path by seeing what competition is doing or what somebody else is doing, is to say this is the vision, we follow it, and we continue to focus.
Right. Thanks. Looking at the recent experiences, the onslaught of the pandemic has affected many industries. The automobile industry has been no exception. We saw automobile sales fall to decadal lows recently. So, how has this impacted car insurance as a sector?
Yeah, it did. It did meaningfully impact the car insurance sector, and not just the new car sales of people. The automobile sector had the probably the worst time in the last 1.5, 2 years. Sales are back now, though, but more importantly, even customers who owned cars,
Right.
and from the period of maybe April to July, August, when it was peak of that lockdown,
Yeah.
lockdown period, even customers who owned cars were not buying insurance because they were not using the cars. And the regulator had also come up with some extension possible for people to buy later. So that was a pretty complex time for a young company like us to navigate, where the category just the main category that you're operating in is just nosedives, for some
Mm,
time. But what we
indeed.
take heart in and what we are really excited about is that the medium term and short term is looking very good. So, sorry, medium term and long term is looking very good. Post July, August, while April to July was a tough period for us, or for anybody who was in anything to do with the car business, per se.
Right.
The number of people who now come online and buy are far larger than even pre-pandemic or pre-March. So we, in fact, April to July, after July, I think we started clocking growth and sales, which was even bigger than March. So I think what the pandemic has done is it's accelerated, as most people are talking about, people coming online very quickly.
Right.
And nobody at that point or even today wants to meet an agent or a broker, or sign a check and change paperwork or do anything of that sort. So I think from a medium term perspective, the pandemic has helped. Short term, of course, it was a hit. More people are okay to research online, come online. It has also created a massive awareness around health insurance, which India was always lacking.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so short term bad, medium term to long term, I think very good actually.
That's great. So one of the ways ACKO seems to be resurging is by building a number of collaborations and partnerships. Like we've heard of Ola, Redbus, and GoIbibo that you're collaborating with. Do you see this as a larger part of a symbiotic growth story within India's digital platform sector?
See, our thought process is, we have, like you said, mentioned a few key partners. We have now about 25, 30 such partners.
Right.
Everything, whether it's Amazon, where we sell mobile phone and extended warranty kind of products, to Ola, to Make My Trip, to a bunch of others. Online lending platforms like Lending Card or Zest Money, and all of these guys. So almost 25, 30 partners. The way we actually look at this is that our job is to serve the digitally native consumer. That's my target market, and we really want those consumers to have much better products and experiences, and we think we are the right team to build for that audience. We are not trying to build the product for everybody. I think that's a fallacy. I don't think you can build a product which everyone loves. You build a product which your core market would appreciate. uh, those 100 million people, our strategy is fairly simple, that if they want to buy a standard product like car insurance, which is very price sensitive, a direct to
Right.
consumer approach works. Those customers, if they want to buy travel insurance, they will not buy on ACKO. They will buy the travel insurance at the point that they're booking a ticket on Make My Trip. Or if they're buying a mobile phone on Amazon, they will like to insure the mobile phone, at the point of buying the mobile phone, and it's easier and it's convenient. Uh, we also work on health insurance, where we work with employers. So as a young millennial, if you are in the workforce, your first introduction to health insurance is usually through your employer, and then you go and buy more coverage,
Yeah.
better than what your
Top
employer
ups.
is offering you. Either you buy a top up or you buy a retail plan, but your first introduction even in our organization, even as an insurance organization, 60% of our young employees don't have any insurance apart from what our company provides, right? And they're yet to,
Okay.
yet to buy. So our thought process is, as far as these relationships and partnerships goes, is to where are these 100 million consumers? How do they behave? How do they transact? For standard products, they will like to come online. For something like a travel or a gadget or taking a ride sharing, you cannot say, hey, come and buy a mobile insurance product or a travel insurance product on ACKO's website. Maybe some people will do, but the best way to do is to meet them where they are, you know
Right.
uh, and to meet them at the point where it's convenient for them, where the coverage makes sense for them, and at a click of a button they can insure that transaction or insure that coverage. So our thought process is, we will intersect with these customers wherever they are. If they want to be online, we're there online. They transact with these partners. We will have beautifully integrated insurance offerings at the point where it makes most sense to them. If their introduction to health is through employers, then we will work with them so that they get introduced to ACKO's products across the board. That's really the thought process.
So clearly, customer outreach is something that ACKO takes very seriously.
Sure.
Right now, what are some of the products that ACKO is offering that you're most excited about?
Like I mentioned, auto has always been our flagship. That's what the company started with. It's a very large market, and the great part that we think about this market is that there are about 30 million car owners in India. And if you're a car owner in India, you're 100% online. There is no way that you own a car, but you don't own a smartphone or you don't transact online. You're
Right.
already rich in India. In India, only rich people, theoretically, only top
Mm,
10, 5, 7, 8% of India owns cars. So you're already talking to a digitally savvy population.
right.
From that perspective, I think auto will continue to be our flagship business. A very large category. I think we can really lower the prices and provide better consumer experiences. Health is something which I mentioned that we forayed in, and we've got a lot of interesting coverages across gadgets, across travel, commute. If you're taking an Ola cab to the airport and you end up missing your flight, that also gets paid for. So what we've done is all the smaller areas, there are interesting coverages built, which uh, you know solve daily lives of people, their digital lives, their daily lives. You're taking a flight, you're buying a phone, you're traveling to the airport, you're traveling outside the country, all these coverages. So the idea is to ensure that for larger products like auto and health, we find the meaningful experiences, and we have all these smaller coverages which solve customers' daily lives. Over a period of time, we would love to expand into life, home, all of these products for these consumer.
Of
But right
course.
now, the focus is on auto and health, and these smaller coverages across various platforms.
Great. So, besides offering these products, ACKO has also been engaging with customers rather creatively. So, there was one hashtag blind date campaign, there was another zero commission ad campaign. So, what has been the response to such initiatives?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're very excited about and believe in it also very deeply is that insurance has always been portrayed as boring. Is just I don't have better words for it. You typically see all the communication that is out there on insurance. You almost see this. Middle class uncle who's laden with responsibilities, and he has so many family to take care of, and he has to be responsible, and he has to buy insurance, and that's and it's a very it's a characterization which is almost making the protagonist, if I may say so, and making the category same bechara in some sense, if I may use that word. I don't think we believe in it. I think customers today are smart. They can make their own choices. They can be engaged with far more creative communication, and I think that's done well for us, because that's really put the brand as a refreshing brand,
Right.
on insurance. I don't think we need to treat customers with preachiness. I think we need to engage them with humor. We need to engage them with topics which are relevant to them. Whether it's about what's happening in the political arena or sports arena, or even social issues. We had a campaign around parked cars can run families. I don't know whether you so in the pandemic period, a lot of us were not using our cars, and there was a campaign that we did which was saying that, hey, the money that you're saving on petrol can still go to your driver or your maid, even if they're not coming to work.
Right.
Because because that's right now is when they need you. and the campaign was that parked cars can run families, in some sense. So I think engaging with the audience on topics which are relevant, which make the brand, make customers feel like the brand has a soul, and it's talking to them meaningfully and not preaching to them how they need to be responsible and take care of their family and be boring. And I think that's done well for us. We'll continue to invest in that direction.
That's a very good thought, Varun. So finally, I want to know at the end of it, what have been your biggest learnings so far at ACKO and even in your personal entrepreneurial journey?
I think everything that you want to do takes double the time. I think that's double or even more. I think so. One of the things that personally I've learned both at ACKO and generally as my entrepreneurial journey is that you have to have tremendous amount of patience
Yes.
to build something out. I would, if I can, unsolicited, if any upcoming entrepreneurs are there, the only advice that I would from my own personal failures or learnings is that you have to be in it for the long haul. You have to look at it as a multi-decade journey. You can't look at it as a 3 4, you have to look at a 10-year plus journey. Sometimes you can get lucky, hit success in 3 4 years, but if you stick at it, I think sooner or later you'll get there. And if you can learn and adopt, but you need to look at it as a 10-year plus journey and not get wavered by who's getting funded, what's happening, what if you focus on your customers, focus on the model that you're there. And sometimes you'll have periods where growth will not be great or some things will go wrong, but if you look at it as a 10-year journey, I think things make sense. But short term, it has a lot of frustrations. So patience is key, is what I would say is the biggest learning.
That's good, Varun. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all we have for
Thank you.
today. Have a
Thank you
great
for
week.
having me over. Yeah.